All right, family, it's your brother Asad,
And I'm Adrienne.
and we are back again with another quick video. But before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so that you'll be notified when we drop new videos. Secondly, in terms of housekeeping, we want to make sure we thank our South African family for all the love and support that you guys have shown this channel and shown to us. And not just this channel, not just the cyber love, not just the social media love. I mean, we have been meeting with people every day. South Africans, regular, the people that's the great philosophical musician Sly Stone called everyday people. We have been meeting with everyday people, everyday South Africans, and just really being shown so much love and the conversations that we have had. And I want to jump in with this though.
What's that?
There has been this um thing about, pleased to meet you, Dr. Malik. And I'm like, call me brother Assad or call me Assad. I never introduce myself, even though this channel is Asad Al Malik PhD, and I am very proud of my PhD. It took 5 years of graduate school, 3 years of writing a dissertation, 70,000 words, or whatever have you, to earn the title Dr. Malik. But I only introduce myself that way if it's a white man writing a check. Other than that, I'm brother Aside. It's funny how people attempt to do with a title that which they could never do with their name. I'm not interested in you meeting my title, right? You meeting me. You meeting your brother, right? So I'm brother Aside. We don't have to go in with all those formalities. I'm not that pretentious. I know who I am,
Right.
and I know whose I am.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All
I
right.
take it to church right quick. I take it to church right quick. But so yeah, it's just brother Aside. But anyway, with that being said, man, we have met some great, great people in South Africa, and the love goes beyond cyberspace, right? And that is real. So with that being said, let's kind of quickly talk about what we've done, then jump into the conversation that we had, the comparison and the contrasting two different conversations. So, where have we been? Why did we miss a day uploading or whatever have you? Because I was tired and we were busy.
Man, that jet lag is real.
Yeah, and they caught up. They caught up with me.
Finally.
I was pushing. I was pushing hard. But it caught up with me, and I closed my eyes. I missed a meeting that I had at work online.
12 hours later. Oh, what time is it?
But so um, yeah, we purchased a property. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say we purchased property impulsive, which is what, Greater Santon area, I think.
I don't know.
And we bought it online.
Yeah,
we had only seen it virtually.
Only they did a WhatsApp walkthrough for us when we bought it. Yep. The great part about it had a tenant already, and it has a tenant now.
Yeah.
And we had never seen it. So we contacted our property manager in order to just, ask the tenant if it would be cool if we just put our eyes on this place that I guess we've owned it about a year now.
Right? Yeah.
So just to see what it looked like, and I was pleasantly surprised.
I was too. It looked better than the pictures.
It is an absolutely lovely place.
It's the landscape.
Big old dude using word like lovely, but it's an absolutely lovely place. The entire complex is just beautiful. The landscaping, it was pristine, it was clean, and and I hate to be so black and white, but in places like that, in our city, for instance, we would automatically assume that it was majority white. I hate to be so that way, but you see something really nice about it. That's what white people live. It's the truth, and it's the truth. I mean, I don't want to be, I'm not being that way, but it's the truth. But here, this place is, at least 50% black, if not more, because that's all I saw walking around. I was like, wow, that's dope. And see, that's one of the things that I think that's that we have very nice black neighborhoods in the United States. Let's not downplay that. We have Baldwin Hills, and we have what's the place out in the Virginia area?
Prince George's County.
There you go, Prince George's County in that area, right? We even have parts of like Eastover in New Orleans East, nice neighborhoods. But a lot of the times when you hear about a majority black neighborhood or a neighborhood that's 50 or 60% black, it is going to be lower middle income to low income straight projects, right? It's going to be in that range. Your expectation is not that it will be nice and pristine and that, and I'm sorry that that's the way it is, but that's sometimes just the way it is. So
Right.
with that being said, this complex is pristine and it's nice and there's a whole bunch of black folk, and that's the things that we normally don't see in the US.
Yeah.
So
It was nice.
it was nice. And after that we hooked up with Asha means life. Yeah. Our homegirl Asha, she is now a South African. Yeah,
Amazing.
living in SA, man.
Yeah.
And we went out to the old Mall of Africa.
Yeah.
And I might drop a little footage at the end of the Mall of Africa and the stuff we saw in that, which is that place is just amazing.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's a lot to see.
Yeah. And Asha was telling us about her experience being here. I guess she's been here about a good 2 months now. Being here and
And settling in and all.
settling in.
So
Yeah. So
it was great to see Asha.
just so proud of her. Inspirational. She's really a good person, and it is rare. Although I've met a lot of good people in South Africa, but it is just rare to me. You know how I always say women will say, it's hard to find a good man. I'll be like, it's hard to find a good person, period. It's hard to find a good person, period. And Asha is a good person.
I mean, it's that you can judge someone to see how they treat you when you can do nothing for them.
There you go.
Need anything from you.
Right.
If they still treat you well and they're solid, that means they're a solid person.
Exactly. If you don't need anything from me and you treating me good, I know you're a solid person. If I don't need anything from you and I'm treating you well, you should know that I'm a solid person. But I try to be a solid person with you, whether I need something from you or not. Right. That's about being everyday people.
Yep.
But so then after that, so let's talk about these kind of competing conversations we had. So one day we sat down with two young brothers, and I would say they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
Right. And names have been changed to protect the innocent. So I'm going to call the brother Derek. Now, you know that ain't no South.
Leroy.
Now, you know that ain't no South African name, Derek. I'm going to call that brother Derek. Now, Derek is a young South African brother who had some strong critiques of the current state of affairs.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to call the other brother Muhammad. Because we Muslim. Let's get this going. I'm going to throw out that Muhammad.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry, my baby. But I'm going to call the brother Muhammad. And he not Muslim. But he's a brother who is a little bit older, late 30s, and who had experienced the tail end of apartheid and well traveled. And let's say Derek has also traveled. He lived in the United States for some time. And brother Muhammad had lived he had visited the United States, and he lived in Japan for some time. Or he visited Japan. I don't know if he lived or visited. But so brother Muhammad had some strong admiration for the current state of affairs, right? And it was interesting to see. So Derek was like, the ANC sold us out, right? And they didn't go far enough. They didn't do X, Y, and Z, and we are in a bad situation because of it, right? However, Muhammad was more like, I remember in the 90s, them throwing tear gas in our classroom. I remember what it was like and
police raids,
police
all kinds of
raids,
stuff. People
right?
coming up missing in this township.
There, and he was like, I remember that prior to the ANC taking over, only 20% of South Africans had electricity, right? And then he says now it's something upwards of 80%. So that 60% um, increase was under the leadership of the ANC.
And he said in the 80s and 90s, South Africa was getting really intense. Like the violence was increasing.
Right.
It was getting to be a very scary place to be as they were building up that fight against the apartheid regime.
Right. So when Derek is
different picture.
Right. So when Derek is saying they didn't go far enough, or Mandela didn't go far, because he had critiques of Mandela, right? Which is, like to us, Mandela is in the Dr. King category.
Right.
It's the sacredness of that name. You don't critique them. You may say, I wish this would have been different, but there isn't, you don't, I guess you can critique anybody. Nobody is above it, but certain people you just say they are the fight and the energy and the time and the work that they put into improving and the commitment, you don't have a place to critique them. Right? Unless you have put in a third of what they have done. Right? But then young people are different. Younger people are different. So the brother was able, he had a critique, but then Muhammad was like, Mandela was like God. And had it not been for Mandela, South Africa would have gone the way of Zimbabwe. It would have gone the way of Rwanda. And this was his assessment, his analysis of the situation. Because he said they were
sowing division between tribes. And so there was also this tension building between groups.
He said, you're not going to let that person rule over you. You're not going to let that tribe rule over you.
Which, it opened my mind.
I mean, the brother had a lot of, he had a lot of information. Now, in defense of Derek, it is people like our parents who will sit there and say, man, we lived through Jim Crow. We lived through having police dogs sicked on you. Sicked on you. We lived through having to ride in the back of the bus and white men calling you boy. Everything is better. Right? They will kind of argue that things, they will not say everything is better. They will say things have gotten better, right?
Yeah.
And then people in our age group will probably say, you got to look at that data a little bit, Mom. You got to check out that data a little bit, Dad. While things are different, does not necessarily mean that they have been ameliorated.
That the outcomes are better necessarily.
Right. So whereas we're not regulated to black and white schools by law, poverty has now regulated us to black and white schools, right? Yeah. So those type of things. So and then the younger generation of of us may be more in line with Derek,
right?
And in terms of the critique of, Dr. King ain't done nothing for us. Malcolm ain't done nothing for us. I don't because
I'm more like Malcolm.
Right, because for some reason they think Malcolm represented this radical fight, grab a gun. The only time Malcolm had a gun in his hand is when he was protecting himself against other members of the Nation of Islam and the perceived threats. The perceived threats, and again, those members have been exonerated recently, 2021. The members of the Nation of Islam, 2 members of the Nation of Islam who were falsely accused of participating in the assassination of Malcolm X have been exonerated. But that's the only time you see pictures of Malcolm with that gun in his hand, right? Malcolm was challenging the white man in many ways. Malcolm actually went down to Alabama and sat and talked with Coretta Scott King when Dr. King was in jail, and his mission was to say to in fact, he sent a telegram. He sent a telegram to I forgot the sheriff's name, but he was like, "You better treat Dr. King right because because there's more of me coming." Basically, if you get King together, you go and listen to what he's talking about. He's talking about peace. He's talking about let's work together. Let's integrate. Let's stop the foolishness. He was like, but I'm here. So Malcolm was playing a very strategic role. And I mean, you can actually find the the telegram that he sent. It's online, and basically he was playing a strategic role. He was like, I can be. He was like, y'all have an opportunity to end this thing peacefully, but then there's me. And he was like, I'm going to play this role, this like almost phantom scarecrow. Like I'm going to be the boogeyman, you know, and make Martin somebody that you would want to choose rather than me.
Better choice.
Right, right. So yeah, but you're right. So young people want to be like they're with Malcolm, and so the young Black Americans may kind of be on the side of Derek, right, in terms of their critiques for some of our leadership. I mean, I've even heard some young Black Americans critique Jesse Jackson, and I've heard some young Black Americans critique Minister Farrakhan, right? A man who is 82, 83 years old and has spent the last 60 years of his life fighting on behalf of Black people. So I think it's just a level of disconnect. The further you are away from the great man, the easier it is to start trying to pick him apart. Right? Without understanding the context that created that man and the context in which he had to move. You're putting certain decisions in today's context, right? Like, oh, this, it wasn't like this. There were other things at play. So I've monopolized this conversation. I'm sorry.
No. You're telling good information. But I thought it was interesting. The young men. You know, I was trying to say, well, you know, consider that maybe had he gone so far radical that, you know, your whole civil society could have fallen apart.
Collapsed.
And then what would have happened? Where would you be right now? So, you know, there's always a critique that we can have, you know, on the sidelines, outside looking in. But it's a whole different story. You know, it was a different story when all of that rests on your shoulders and you have to weigh it in the balance.
I've never been in that position.
Never.
I critique Barack Obama. I critique policies, right? Not person. Critique policy. I don't like this policy. I don't like drones being dropped on people and innocent lives being lost. I think that's a problematic policy. I critiqued it when George
lack of due process in Guantanamo Bay.
Right, exactly. I critiqued that. Right, that's problematic. And when George Bush did it, I critiqued him. Right, you know what I'm saying. Those things are problematic. Those things are different than, you know, he was soft, he was a punk, he was a sellout. That's not a critique. That's an insult. You see what I'm saying? If you want to critique a leader, you critique the policies by which they implement it. And when you make that critique, make sure you're able to contextualize the reasons why they did it and the reasons why it was bad. You see what I'm saying? And not just, you know, they should have done this. Well, what have you thought that thought all the way through? You know, have you thought that thought all the way through? Right.
Keep on thinking. Chew on that. Chew on it after you have children.
And it's fine. And it's fine to think that it's fine to have the thought, to have the critique, and once you think it all the way through, if you are still in the same place, like I thought my critiques all the way through, and I said no, I'm still against drone strikes. Right. You can't convince me that that's right. Right, and I'm against collateral damage, meaning which is it's a very politically correct way of saying innocent people dying. Right, I'm against that. Right, so but you got to have critiques of people and understand their position, the unique position they're in. Both Mandela and Obama are the first Black presidents of their nations, right, and the whole world is on their shoulders. And half of that world is hoping that they fail. You know? Strongly.
Actively working to make them fail, not open.
Right. Participatory. Right. That's a different battle. And again, and they still doesn't mean that you can't say, hey, this was a misstep. But when you make that critique, also make sure that you have voted. I saw a sign out there that says, did it say repair South Africa or improve South Africa? And then the next thing it said vote. It was on the bill. It was a billboard on the thing, right? Vote, be active, participate in your local elections and your governments and your national elections, and not just vote. Make sure that you are actively participating in ameliorating the conditions of your people around you. Right? That's how you make change, and then that's how you get the credibility to stand and critique anybody. But anyway, I think I'm gonna add some footage in here at the end, y'all. Not like
No, you're not. 20 minutes in.
Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'll just do another little video with some footage in that thing, you know. Man, but as always, it's a pleasure speaking and having this dialogue, especially with my baby and our South African family. So yeah, that's a 20-minute video. We might as well not add no footage. But I took some footage, y'all. I took some footage walking around the Mall of Africa.
You realize there's only about 5 people left at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but if you made it this far, as I always say, you a soldier.
You're a real one.
You're a soldier. So but I took some footage at the Mall of Africa. I took some footage at Rose Bank and where else? Melrose Arc and well, I think that's it. Yeah. So
for
maybe
people who want to see some footage,
I will put out. Maybe I'll put out just like a special video.
Short or something.
Well, no, I'm gonna put out just a special video with some of the footage after I collect some of it or whatever have you, and maybe we won't do any talking. It'll just be like 20 minutes of footage. Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I'm not promising that. All right, y'all have a good one.
Bye.